Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review, and this is one I actually had a little sneak peek earlier, well actually the end of last year, if I could talk straight, and I honestly wasn't that excited about it, so when I got this I was like, alright, I kind of didn't know what to expect, but after listening to it I was really ready to babble about it, and I was a little bit more impressed with the album as an entirety. So sometimes it's not always good. I've heard Pete Pardo say the same thing. He doesn't always get too excited about, hearing half the album and then, in snippets or whatever. And this is one of those cases where it didn't really pay off because it was like a 4-song, preview I heard of this. And it was about in the middle of December or end of December. I don't remember exactly when I got it. And I was like, it was okay. It's kind of what I expected. Now, well, that really remains true. In fact, I haven't even said what I'm talking about yet. I'm talking about Temonti and their new album just came out today called The End Will Show Us How. And in case you don't know who Tremonti is, it's Mark Tremonti, the guitar player from Creed, was the original band I had heard him in, also the guitar player in Alter Bridge. And this is a solo project. I think this is their 6th album, if I'm not mistaken. The first couple of his band, his solo stuff here, actually had Wolfgang Van Halen playing on it. I think it was the first 2. I should do more research on this stuff. I try to do everything from memory because I like this to feel like we're just sitting down chit-chatting about stuff, and this is just kind of how I feel about the new album, and that's kind of what I've always tried to do. So I try not to look up too much stuff, and maybe I should in some of these cases. But anyway, in case you're not familiar with his guitar playing style, for me, what I always really enjoyed about him is he's got this really unique style. It's a lot of riffs. It's not just chords mainly, and even when he does chords, there's like riffs within the chords, and that's kind of cool, unique style of playing. I think that he's developed it. Now, the unfortunate part is I've never cared, I don't hate the singers, but I've never been a super big fan of either singer in those other 2 bands I mentioned, which, strangely enough, when he sings in his solo stuff, he has an amazing voice. He sings great. It doesn't have like super high range, but it doesn't have it's not a whole lot of grit or anything in his voice. He's just got this really strong, pure voice. And for me, I really enjoy the way he sings. And it's just kind of unfair that somebody is that talented to play guitar and sing that well. And his lead playing is actually really good as well. But I've always been really attracted to the style of just rhythms and the songs that he writes. Now, this one seems to be like a lot heavier than I'd heard that it was going to be heavy, and this is stuff that was mainly too heavy for even Alter Bridge, and I have to agree with that. The stuff is really quite heavy on here. Not the only little negative thing I'll say is that there's not a whole lot of experimentation. You kind of know what you're going to get when you get a Tremonti album. I kind of said that already, or even Creed or Alter Bridge for that matter. It's cool stuff. It's not going to sound like other guitar players or other songs or other bands, and that's true. I mean, it's still, if this was the first one I ever got and I hadn't heard any of the other stuff, this would blow my mind. I would think it's absolutely killer. So I'm saying, the only negative thing is it sounds a lot like the other 5. So, which is not a bad thing. But in my head, I was kind of hoping to hear maybe a little bit something, different and more experimental. And the only thing that really came down that sounded there's 2 songs. The one on here that really kind of stood out a little bit different than the rest was It's Not Over, which is kind of like just an acoustic rock ballad, I guess is the best way to describe it, and kind of has a very live feel to it. The whole album does have a kind of live feel to it. This style of music, the production on this style of music, some people call it butt rock, I guess, kind of falls a little bit in that category, but just production style for me anyway. Tends to take a little bit of the life out of it sometimes. I don't feel that happening on this one. It actually has a good live feel to it, like they did it together in a studio. They probably didn't do that, but it does have that feel. So I kind of enjoyed that part, especially in that song, It's Not Over. And then I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, I kind of listened to this thing like several times through, and I'm not always paying attention to the song titles, but I think it was either Just Too Much or Nails, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, which had a kind of a cool, different little riff in it, and the melody was, vocal melody was kind of like counter to what the guitar playing was. I thought that was a cool little thing. I hadn't really heard him do much of that, but overall, it's super heavy album. So if you're into that style of playing and you like his guitar playing, really heavy. One of the, I think, man, if I could take better notes on these things, if I took any notes at all. There's one solo in here. I thought maybe it was, actually the intro to The Mother Earth and I, which is great, and it's got a really cool rhythm to it. I thought that was really a cool way to start the album. And then, It's One More Time. That was the one here that I'm thinking of. It has the guitar solo that I thought was, that one is like a lot different than anything you've heard him do. Super fast, actually, and that was kind of a different style for him. So I guess there are a couple little, I guess I take back a little bit of what I said there. They had some cool little snippets here and there of things that, maybe were a little bit more outside of what he normally does. And, I also noticed that his vocals on this one are, even though I've always enjoyed what he's done, are a lot more strong, or more confident, I guess, is a better way to put it. Just feels like he really knows what to do with, his voice a little bit better now. He's probably, he's been doing it for years now. I can't remember what year the first one came out, 12 maybe. And I just think maybe he's just gotten a better feel for it. So those things being said, I guess there's a little bit of, now that I'm talking and convincing myself that there's a little bit of progression in what he's done, that is all in there. So there's 12 songs on here. It's just under an hour long, so there's a lot of music here. I didn't want to run through each song individually, but there was a couple highlights I wanted to point out there that I thought were cool. But overall, I'm really digging it. I've listened to this thing probably 4 or 5 times, 4.5 times through at this point. Took a little break here in the middle of it to, I wasn't going to do a video on this because like I said earlier, I'd heard the 4 tracks and I wasn't that impressed, but now after listening to the whole thing, especially several times through, it's kind of growing on me. Kind of like when albums do that, actually, because usually when albums, don't start out with a bang, they kind of grow on you a little bit. Those are the ones that I tend to go back to the most, and that's probably what'll happen with this one. And that's always cool when that happens. So anyway, as always, I welcome your comments and what you think of Mark and his band, and if you've had a chance to hear this album, what you think of it, or some of the other stuff you enjoy in his catalog. That's what this is all about. And as I always ask, like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because this is some pretty cool stuff, and I definitely want to keep hearing more. So until next time, we will see you.